Now we all know how home theaters work for the most part. We all know how to lay out some speakers, what subs to get. We all have an idea of what TV we want. There's a lot of different things that you may not be aware of. Yo, Kpaceguy here, what's going on YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. We're going to talk about 3 home theater mistakes you didn't know you were making. Now there are a lot of different mistakes that you may or may not be making, but these 3 right here are more of the general mistakes that I see when I watch other people's home theaters, when you ask me questions about your home theater, and etc. So these 3 mistakes here are going to be budget balancing, TV picture settings, and ignoring the room itself. And we're going to break those 3 things down, and we're going to go ahead and start with TV settings. Now you have your 4K TV, you have your big projector or what have you, and you unbox it, you plug it in, and you hook up all your components, and you're good to go, right? Not quite. Now when you get a TV from Best Buy or Walmart or something of the sort, even on Amazon or Kpaceguy, eBay, wherever you got it from, when you open that box and you plug it in, that manufacturer has set the TV to give you the biggest, most vivid picture to compel you, to make you want to come and buy that television. Especially at Best Buys and Walmarts. The brightest screen, the most colorful screen is the one that usually draws your attention. And so when you open that box, a lot of the TVs are not tweaked to their finest settings. So when you first get your TV or your projector, when you sit down and you turn that TV on and you leave it as it is, you're already making that mistake of leaving it where it's at. Go back into settings and dial it to your room and to the TV's best calibration. If you go online and type in the model of your television and search for picture settings, I guarantee you, if your TV is not too old, you're going to be able to find picture settings that professionals recommend you to use. Now it changes from room to room, so the circumstances may differ for your settings, but overall you can kind of get a general idea of what picture settings are good and what's not. You don't want the brightest TV if you're in a dark room, or vice versa, or maybe you need the brightness to be up a little higher to compensate for some of the lighting that you have in your room, or big windows or what have you. Go back into your settings and go and dial and tweak those settings, because I guarantee you, no matter how close to accurate those settings are out of the box, they can always be better, and it will enhance your viewing, your pleasure watching your movies and listening to music and whatever you're going to be doing. It's going to enhance that time spent in front of that television or in front of that projector. Go back in, tweak those settings. You may see the color is way too high, it looks unnatural, the sharpness is way too high, adds a halo effect around objects. You don't want these things that you may not notice you're getting until you compare it to a correctly calibrated screen. Now I'm not saying go out and get a professional to do it, but go back, sit down, and really tailor those settings to your liking, as well as look online, because there's probably some information out there on your television. That's going to be that first mistake, is your TV settings. Budget balancing is another mistake we're going to go ahead and tackle. Now, when I say budget balancing, what I mean is don't spend all your money on one thing and barely any of it on another. And you'll see this when it really comes to home theaters. You'll see they'll get the nicest television or the biggest projector, nicest projector, and their sound doesn't match their picture quality, or vice versa. But it doesn't have to just be picture quality or sound quality. It can also be your seating and how comfortable are you when you're watching your movies and listening to your music. You don't want to throw all your money into one thing. You don't want to get an awesome PB2, PB16 Ultras from SVS, the biggest 4K television on the market, really powerful speakers. You don't want to throw all your money into one thing and not balance it out. Get something that makes sense. Spend a little bit here for your TV and match that TV quality in your sound. You want your sound to sound just as good as the picture you're watching, and vice versa. You want to have a seat that's comfortable for you and for everybody else who'll be sitting in there. So keep that in mind when you're out there budgeting, when you're finding your components, when you're finding your speakers, you're finding your televisions and projectors. Think about how much everything's going to cost and how much money you're putting in towards one thing, so that you have enough money to put in towards the rest of the system. Or else you're going to have a big imbalance between your picture quality or your sound, or vice versa, or your seats are kind of uncomfortable but the TV looks great, but you don't want to watch it very often, or it's not fun to watch over a long period of time because your seats aren't the best. So when you're out there looking for your stuff, make sure you don't spend too much on one thing. Make sure you even it out. Make sure you budget balance. Now, if you're completely clear of those 2 mistakes, there's one mistake that I can almost guarantee that you're making right now, and that's ignoring the room itself. People underestimate how much a room plays into effect of how your sound system sounds. A lot of people don't like the sound that they get out of their speakers, and so what do? They send off their speakers and they buy some new ones, or they get rid of the receiver and they buy a new one. And you may not have to go that route. you may want to just start with the room. What is the room doing to my sound? Do you have really good speakers but you don't like them? Maybe it's not the speakers, maybe it's not the receiver or the amplifier, maybe it's the acoustics in your room. You've heard me blah 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 about this all the time in a lot of my videos, but it's super important. Put some acoustic treatment in the room. You want to soften that echo, that reverberation. That's one of the killers. If you're having bad bass response, maybe you need some bass traps, maybe you need to move your speakers in different locations. Your room plays a big factor in how good or bad your sound system sounds. And you may not know that your sound system can actually sound better than it does now. You may think, well, my sound system sounds pretty good, I'm pretty impressed. But that may not be its best potential. Maybe you need to cater the room a little bit more to your sound system. So if you have the means, throw some panels on the wall if you can. If you can't, curtains do perfect. If you have bare floors, put a rug there. If you have means of getting some kind of, like a bookshelf or something to kind of dampen that echoey effect, that will really help your sound. If you can put a few bass traps in the room, that'll really help your bass. Things like that. If you can't do that, maybe play around with placement, move your speakers off of the wall, move your subwoofer out of a corner, things like that. You need to really tailor your sound system around your room, because your room's going to be pretty much the deciding factor if it sounds good or not. You can get the best speakers out there in the world if you want to, but if they don't make sense in your room, or if they're not placed right in your room, it's a waste of money. That's one of the biggest mistakes that I see, so that's going to be my third one for you guys. Alright guys, so that's going to do it for this video. That was 3 home theater mistakes that you didn't know you were making. Now of course, this is just for the broad audience. You may have all this down packed. Even I still struggle with some of that stuff. I have a really good sound system in my opinion, and I have really good picture quality, but my TV's just a little bit too small for my viewing needs. So of course, I have things I have to work on, and I guess so you guys do too. So it's just helping everybody out, help each other out, so you may not need these tips, but you may. So if you enjoyed this video, leave me a comment down below. How many of those 3 did you get correct, or how many mistakes were you making? And leave some comments down below other general mistakes that you notice people making. If you've been watching Subscriber Showcase, leave some comments down below what you've been seeing and what you think what people should fix. Also hit that like button if you found this video informative, and backslap that subscribe button too while you're at it. And we'll see you guys for tomorrow's video, another episode of Subscriber Showcase. You guys take care out there. We'll see you later. Peace.